Thanks for joining. Today we have a pretty cool story on a deal we have been working on for 3 years. We acquired this thing back in 2020. We had the brilliant plan of doing an office build out.
in spring of 2020.
In spring of 2020, perfect timing. But this is a deal that's located right here in Atlanta. It's in a great part of town, super busy, and it's a very unique asset that we have put a lot of sweat and tears and blood and money into trying to figure it out. But we essentially purchased back in 2020 an old antique building.
Now it's a lot more prominent looking than it used to look. But
yeah, looks better now.
Before it had a lot of, we'll call them antiques in the yard, blocking the view of the building.
Oh, it was architectural salvage. So
yes,
different. But I mean, he had an airplane hanging in the ceiling. He had boats in there. He had all sorts of giant wooden doors that he brought over from France. So
yeah, lots of iron work and
very cool stuff all in this building. And the gentleman was retiring, and we acquired the property with the plans at that time of saying, okay, we could put some office space in here. It's very close to a ton of different residential, and it's a very unique location. But in the middle of that, we identified an opportunity to convert it to a wine and liquor store. So it's a high-end wine and liquor store now. And during that process, we took this building that's at least 70 years old, where pieces of it were, built in the 40s, basically, and converted this to a expansive high ceilings. It has a giant loft on the inside of it.
Yeah, with a drive-through.
Yeah, and that's probably the most fascinating part of it, is that we have a drive-through that was already in place. So now we have the ability for our tenant there to provide a drive-in service for customers when you're. This isn't like, hey, I'm going to stop and pick up a 30 rack of beer. This is more, you're taking, they do programs, you're taking direct delivery of cases of wine from different vineyards all over the country, and they're bringing it to that location for you, so you know what you have. So it's a pretty cool concept.
Yeah, it's much more of a boutique feel that, you're looking for that special bottle of liquor, that special bottle of whiskey, whatever it is, they either have it or they're going to find it for you.
So different experience. So it's a very cool spot, and we are ecstatic about how the building turned out. The final piece of the puzzle, though, when we first bought this property, we had a septic tank. It took us almost 2 years to get all of our environmental approvals, paperwork with neighbors and all this stuff. We had to put in a private sewer line, kind of crazy stuff that had to take place operationally to be able to get to a point where we could dig up this space and pave it over. And right now, we're in the middle of call it the excavation work. It's exciting when the heavy equipment gets out there and they can do their thing, but about the back 25% of the parking lot or so, we are digging it out right now and paving it. So it looks pretty cool. You can see, it dug down about 2 feet to level this out with the current parking lot. And then as you go all the way back, we'll have the dumpster pad in the back. So this is the final piece of the puzzle for the Grapes and Grain location. And overall, it's taken us about 3 years to finish this leasing project.
And really, Grapes and Grain moved in and really started operating a little bit over a year ago. And when we started receiving rent and payment from them, and the final piece was they really wanted to open their drive-through that we built out and allow for ample parking for their customer demand. And we could not do that until getting all the approvals between the city, MARTA, the neighbors, and obviously DeKalb City, water and sewer. So a lot of moving parts. But it's for the most part, it's on its way to being complete. The other neat component that makes the building much more prominent now is the city of Chamblee requested that we put a mural on the outside of it in neon colors.
It's pretty crazy. You can't miss it if you're driving by, that's for sure right now. So it looks pretty cool on the outside. We've done murals on a couple different buildings that have always come out colorful. It makes it easy to identify. So we like that concept, although we are definitely not the artists in charge. But I think we look at this deal financially, a lot of deals that we do are long-term cash flow plays. So this took us about 3 years to do the full project, soup to nuts, finish it all out. Josh mentioned, they moved in I think it was December of 2021. And then they started paying rent. So they're currently paying rent. It covers all of our expenses in the lease structure. And then incrementally, there are lease increases in that rental rate going forwards over the next 20 years. So we have our next one that happens in about 12 months from now. And at that point, we're always looking at what does the break points of the financial performance look like. So in 12 months, we'll be at about 5% cash flow distributions and 11% overall return on equity, because we do have principal payments that we're paying down on this. And another 2 years after that, that jumps up to 7.5% distributions and 13% return on equity. And we add another increase every 5 years for the next 10 years. So we have 2 more increases and then bumping that up to 10 and 11% cash on cash that's getting distributed from it.
Yeah, so every 5 years we get a 10. So basically, the rent's flat, and then at the end of 5 years, we get that 10% bump every 5 years.
Yeah, and overall, it's a 20-year lease. So we have those bumps in it, and that puts us in a position with this retail deal. We're done with construction. We're stabilized. We have a long-term lease in place. We have debt locked at 4%, and we can see a path forwards where we have just consistent positive cash flow. That's our goal on these projects, and we are excited that we are wrapping this thing up here. Cool. Hope that's helpful. Gives a little insight into what we're doing operationally on assets and how we're adding value to them and turning them around. We'll have plenty more as in the coming weeks. We're tearing down a building, so that's going to be pretty cool to see as well. So thanks for joining. For more tips on operating and investing in real estate, please check us out at greenleafmanagement.com or find us on YouTube and Spotify.